Several suspected killers have been shot by the police, but among one of those who has been arrested in the assassination of President Moise is of U.S. descent, they say. What do you make of this development?
Well, first, as I don't know if you are aware, they haven't given the name of that U.S. Haitian American citizen. And I think, it's more complicated than it seems, because for these people to be able to penetrate the periphery of the perimeters of the President Moise residence and to go all the way, there are 3 checkpoints at President Moise's house. How are they able to penetrate all those checkpoints to not only to go inside the yard with all the security that President Moise has? That means, it's more complicated and they're not telling us everything.
They're not telling us everything. Okay,
No.
Sorry for interrupting you there, but because we have little time, I want to discuss about the possibility of the adversaries that President Moise would have, because we know in the past few years he had been facing calls from the opposition to step down. There were, of course, gang violence that were prevalent in the capital of Port-au-Prince. A lot of unhappiness, dissatisfaction where the government functioning and the presidency was concerned within the country.
Yes, I mean, there's a limitless of names of, number of people that could do this thing. First, you have the private sector. Remember, President Moise tried to dispossess many of the old-time traditional private, businesses in Haiti, such as VOB, who has the electricity company. You had Boulos recently, Reginald Boulos. He tried to dispossess them also and arrest them. And also you have the gangs that he armed, and obviously there are rival gangs. So we don't know whether there was some private personal issues been taken care of in this situation. Then you have the political parties. Obviously, I don't think any Haitian political party can carry this kind of operation. But when you have so many enemies, you never know which one of them will hit you.
Right. Let's talk about the way forward. It's a very complex and a complicated situation. You also saying that we do not know all the details. They may not be sharing everything with us right now. But moving forward, we know that in the month of September, there is an election due at the presidential level, at the local level, also where a referendum on the controversial constitution is concerned. But going forward under this interim prime minister, Claude Joseph, how do you see things really shaping up?
Well, first, Claude Joseph is illegal. He was fired by President Moise, and he had already vacated his office because when President Moise was killed, a new prime minister was supposed to be installed. There was already a decree that he signed to nominate that new prime minister. So technically in Haiti right now, you don't have a constitutional government, a constitutional prime minister. You have 2 prime ministers in Haiti, and we don't know which one is in control, really. Second thing that happens is that President Moise got rid of the president of the Superior Court died, and he got rid of many of the other members of the court. So therefore, you don't really have a succession who can replace him. So this situation is really confusing and dangerous. And that's why I think they need to move as soon as possible to make the country secure. Otherwise, we can see a chaotic situation developing very soon.
But Francois, explain this to us. You said that they need to move forward as quickly as possible. Who is this they if the Chief Justice died because of COVID-19? If you're saying the current interim Prime Minister is illegal, if the other Prime Minister, Henry, did not assume power because he was nominated but did not take office, who is this they who need to move forward quickly?
Thank you. The opposition, the groups that were contesting Moise's power, had an alternative. They had a former member of the Supreme Court as the temporary president. They had all the other inclusive of all the other parties, and they had promoted the national dialogue to bring peace, calm, and justice in the country. What happened is that the U.S. keeps pushing this issue of having elections as soon as possible without taking into account the demands of those other groups. I think what needs to happen right now, there needs to be a real dialogue with the other groups that Moise never spoke to or engaged in any conversation.
Okay, so this is clearly a political crisis, a constitutional crisis that we are looking at in Haiti, and of course, a situation that's extremely complex. We leave it at that for now. Francois Pierre-Lois, political science professor at the City University of New York. Appreciate your time here on CTV News Channel.